Hi, everybody. 164 days since Richard was treasonously, is that a word? Treasonously, premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss for exposing criminal trafficking and, this weapon smuggling, this weapons. There's so many violations going on. Um, and he told us it's so bad. It's so bad. Let me see if I'm on. Looks like everything's okay. Looks like you can hear me. There's just no time to sleep right now. We are so busy with our communications right now um, because things are happening. I think promises were made and promises are kept. President Trump is in office and it makes a world of difference. It's a totally different, um, speed. It's a totally different speed right now. It's going very, very fast. And so there's just no time to sleep when you're in a situation like we are, where you're fighting for justice, where you're fighting for accountability. And, so much is at stake because Richard's case is so big that it has absolutely exposed the constitutional crisis there in El Paso. And, no one, thank you, Martha, for coming on. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. And I don't think that anybody that is in law enforcement or uh, in the judicial system would argue with our claim that there is a constitutional crisis in El Paso. We have absolutely uh, did what the CID asked us to do, what the Fort Bliss Command asked us to do, and that was to investigate and to bring them leads. And, so when we saw the tampering there in the magistrate court office, we investigated and we discovered that that court is acting illegally since 2015, that the individuals like Penny Hamilton is a really big, you know, important piece of this puzzle because, she's illegal magistrating. She magistrated Patrick Crucius. Um, and, then she went over to work in the DA's office with Bill Hicks when she retired. So she had an illegal position and she retired from the illegal position. Um, and so this is a very big piece because, you know, when you're talking about the seals and the deals on Richard's case, it seems like Penny Hamilton's name pops up. So, um, so when we looked into that, these individuals that are sitting on that court are doing it without proper authority. And also violating the rights of all the people that live in El Paso County because they have taken away the voting rights. The election, the right to elect the judges in a court that has full countywide jurisdiction. When it has that kind of power, that huge amount of power, the Texas Constitution says, hold on a minute, the people get to vote for those judges. The people get to vote because they need to have oversight over such a powerful court. And yet, it's those that appoint that have the power over that court, and that's not the way it should be. So it's a huge violation. And of course, with the medical examiner who is illegally in the country, it's big. That's a constitutional crisis because he determines the the cause and manner of death. And, he has judicial power. And to be illegal and to be unqualified and to be in that position and to get paid, normally a person in that position needs to have a law degree and a medical doctorate degree. It is a huge position. That's why that salary is like 75% more. It's so much more than the average. It's like $430,000 a year. And so I had looked it up. What is the average in El Paso? And well, the medical examiner far exceeds that. So, and then of course, now with the latest in the federal court with Judge Guadarrama, who's in big trouble now, he's in huge trouble because he, um, in 2020, charged and indicted Patrick Crusius. It was his court that indicted Patrick Crusius with these hate crimes, with these hate crimes, and um, made this plea deal for 90 life sentences, 7,000 years in prison, when he himself, in his own federal courthouse, had mitigating evidence because it was that courthouse who housed the family of Patrick Crusius. And the lies that, like, oh, he's from Allen, Texas, he's up from Dallas. And, no, he absolutely knew El Paso. His family was in the federal courthouse with Michael Mayella. And Michael Mayella's daughter's married to Patrick Crusius's brother. And Michael Mayella's son, Michael Gianni Mayella, interned in the DA's office with Jaime Esparza, um, who was in both the state and the federal case, right? And with James Montoya, and also went over to the FBI and interned there with Jesus Nieto Jr., um, who was the leaker in our son's case, leaked not only Judge Roger Rodriguez's name to Leilani Hart and to Vida Nusa, the failed, dirty CID, former CID, he lost his badge, agent, to Vida Nusa, um, but also leaked the criminal complaint, right? Leaked the complaint out to them, endangered his name, leaked the claim. This is, really, really serious, and we're not, um, it's too late for them to try to twist things. Right? It's too late for them to try to twist things. Like at the beginning, they could get away with it a little bit, twisting things because people didn't understand the whole narrative to this. They didn't understand the whole orchestration of the Walmart mass shooting. But all of that is out now. And it's not 2020 anymore. It's not 2021 anymore, where they could absolutely put us in insanity. They put us in insanity and twisted and turned everything. And, but it's a new age now. President Trump calls it the golden age. And the truth is absolutely out there. And we have done what they've told us. We have put the leads out there. We have displayed them. We have absolutely every day have done this. And what has the CID done? Um, they had to hack and do their asymmetric warfare tactics and um, just try to obstruct justice in every which way. So, they really have um, abused their power and um, betrayed their duty and betrayed their country and betrayed, of course, Richard. Betrayed Richard. When you have the mandate, right, from the American people to have each other's back, right? In the military, you're supposed to have each other's back. And that's why the people give so much money to our military and so much respect to our military, because we know their duty is, is massive, that they have to um, have these volunteer soldiers and discipline them and teach them how to have each other's back, to work as a team, and to get victory. But there's a constitutional crisis in El Paso, and that seeped into Fort Bliss. And of course, we know that it is a systemic problem with the lack of esprit de corps, with the very violent criminal crimes on our military basis. And but Fort Bliss is the front door to the United States, and and it's right there on the border, and they should have known better. And President Trump was right all along. He said it. There's a problem at the border, and we know that there's a cartel problem at the border seeping in, and not only not seeping in with the thugs, of course, with the thugs, but also seeping in people in suits to take very prominent positions so that they can control our system, so that they could traffic with impunity, right? So that they could traffic and make their billions with impunity. And Richard called them out. And I believe in 2019, because of the audits and everything, that President Trump was trying to call them out. And that's why I believe that the narrative for the Walmart mass shooting was absolutely targeted. It was a targeted hit attack piece on President Trump, on MAGA, and on his 2020 campaign. And that's not me saying it, that's looking at the evidence. I'm not dreaming it up. If you look at the stories, if you look at the evidence, it clearly shows that President Trump was targeted, MAGA was targeted, and the 2020 campaign was targeted, and they were pushing Beto O'Rourke. Okay, so that is very, very, very clear when you look at the evidence. And of course, they were also trying to um, get gun control. That is very obvious too when you look at the narratives that they were putting out at that time. And they were false narratives. It was a false narrative, and it was absolutely in the grip of Judge Guadarrama. He absolutely knew it was a false narrative. He knew that Patrick Crusius is not racist. That whole narrative is all false. And he knew that Patrick Crusius did have a huge connection to El Paso, so big that it was in the federal courthouse. And Judge Guadarrama sentenced him to 90 life sentences for hate crimes, y'all. Of course, you know, the trial that needs to go forward, it's probably not going to go forward until 2030 now, right? 2029, 2030. But we need to hear what Patrick's part was in the Walmart mass shooting. He did surrender himself twice, right? He did. Now he was clean. He was totally clean, but he did surrender himself. And so it would be interesting to hear, even though, it took him a long time to learn how to speak, his verbal skills seemed to have a problem that was admitted by um, Joe Spencer in the audio recordings that we have. And of course, what they've done to him, parading him around, is also a message to him. I believe it was for him. Um, to manipulate someone with a mental health condition like he has into thinking that, he has no choice, he doesn't know what's happening, that his rights were violated, and his rights were violated by the very people that are supposed to protect his rights. And of course, the federal judge is the one that I'm really talking about, that could have put this into a federal trial that would have exposed what happened, and then Patrick Crucius would have got a fair sentencing for his part, right? A fair sentencing, because they're still trying to get the death penalty for him, which if he killed people that day, then that needs to be put out there, and a fair, um, and transparent trial needs to happen, so that we know, that we have oversight, and that we know that justice has been served. But justice has not been served. It's been botched. It was botched with Penny Hamilton, because of her not being elected. It was botched when he was arrested. His hands weren't even bagged. He wasn't read his Miranda rights, and then they had to go and say, "Oh, he waived his Miranda rights." Um, there's just so many discrepancies. But we do know this. We do know that he's severely autistic. We do know that his family was right there in El Paso in the federal courthouse. And we do know that there's a constitutional crisis in El Paso. And we know that the Walmart mass shooting case is intertwined with Richard's. Absolutely intertwined because of Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, right? Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia and her family members expose all of, Richard's case with the Walmart mass shooting case. And it is, we'll lay that out. I might put a flow chart. I made a flow chart today, um, and we're going to look at it um, before I post it to make sure that it's accurate, and what it is to do is to help everyone. Like I made a infograph at the very, very beginning. I made an infograph, and I'm going to try to make another infograph. This case needs to have that for people to understand it, and try to put that out there along with the songs, along with the memes. The graphs are a great help to understand this case. And of course, the constitutional crisis is in the VA's office. So that includes in Fort Bliss, right? The security, it's a constitutional crisis. The DA's office with James Montoya now. Not only did Bill Hicks not install properly, and then went and tampered with his documents, which is criminal, it's also the same thing with James Montoya. The same thing with James Montoya. He's not the DA. He's absolutely not the DA. So I don't know what they're going to do um, if since Yvonne Rosales was just I guess she was so retaliated against that she just, I don't know, um, uh, she just doesn't have the grit to take her rightful position. So I don't know what's going to happen. There needs to be another appointment, right? In that position, there needs to be another appointment. So we're watching carefully. That is huge, and it really does um, confirm that there is a constitutional crisis in El Paso when the DA's office is so chaotic, when the federal courthouse is so chaotic, when the El Paso um, criminal law magistrate court is so chaotic, well, unauthorized, right? No authority, and then the medical examiner is um, is illegal and in chaos. Um, and did I say Fort Bliss? And Fort Bliss is in chaos. Then there is a constitutional crisis. So it is. Help is coming. Help is coming. And we are in communication with federal authorities. Uh, Daily basis. Here it is, a Saturday. We were working so hard. We were working so hard, and there's, no time to sleep, no time to rest, because this is a spiritual war. This is absolutely a spiritual war, and it is between criminality and justice, right? Um, we don't want a system that allows criminals to act with impunity. We want a justice system, and we want the criminals held accountable for what they do, because they hurt so many. They hurt so many. So that's the main message that I want to put out tonight on this, well, Saturday, it's Sunday night. Wishing everybody, um, a great night. And, we just don't have time. We're getting some retaliation right now. But, we don't, it's just too late. It's just, they've just are so exposed that it doesn't even do any good, and it doesn't work anymore. And the message is that the FBI needs to arrest Leilani Hart ASAP, right? ASAP, and and then that will have an effect. That will have an effect. So thank you so much, everyone. God bless.